Alright guys, so this video is going to be a continuation on the geometry video, just going over some other topics within geometry. This first one here is identifying angles. So anytime you have two parallel lines bisected or just with a transversal line in between them, transversal line is just a line that cuts in between like this. Here, there's a lot of angle rules and theorems that we can apply. For example, one, we have name vertical angles. Well, what are vertical angles? Vertical angles are any angles that look directly across each other through a vertex. So for example, here, I would choose angles such as 1 and 4. Notice how they're looking directly across from each other through this point. That also gives me angles, for example, like 2 and 3, 5 and 8, and 7 and 6. Again, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for angles that look at each other through the point. Name angles that you know that are supplementary. Well, supplementary angles are any angles that add up to 180. A way that you can kind of tell what a supplementary angle is if you look at it, or if you look at the two angles, when they're combined, do they create a straight line? So for example, here, 1 and angle 2 here, if you combine those angles together, one looks like this, the other one looks like this. Notice how the bottom part creates a straight line. Ignore my line, it's horrible. But the idea is still there, right? It's creating a straight line. So for example here, I can come up with 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 6, 6, 8, 8, 7, 7, 5, right? Any of those right there, any of those angle pairs are going to be an answer here, because ultimately what we're looking for is any angles that add up to 180 and create a straight line. Okay, if angles 2 and 6 are congruent, okay, so what does that mean? It means 2 and 6 are the same angle. That makes sense because these are complementary angles, and are not complementary angles, corresponding angles. In other words, angles that look the exact same, just on opposite sides of the two parallel lines. And angle 5 here is 105. Find all the angle measures. Well, this is kind of like the fun part. We're going to basically use our rules to plug in all of these, and I'll go through each rule in general. So angle 5 and 6 are supplementary. So that means that angle 5 plus angle 6 must equal 180. So in that case, if angle 5 is 105, that means that this angle right here has to be 75. Because 75 plus 105 is 180, right? Now let's use vertical angles. Well, notice 75 is vertical, or angle 6 is vertical with angle 7. That means that these are the same, thus this is also 75. Now I can also even go over here saying that this is supplementary with this one, which makes this one 105. And let's go over some other types of angles here. There's angles called alternate exterior angles. In other words, angles that are opposite of each other on the outside. So for example, 105 are angle 8 and angle 1 here are alternate exterior angles. So that means these are the same. And then I can do the same thing over here. This would be 75 because it's supplementary. Vertical angle here is 105. It's also supplementary with angle 2 here, and angle 3 is vertical with 75, so this must be 75 here. So two angles are complementary. What does that mean? It means that they equal 90 degrees. So x plus y equals 90. The measure of the larger angle is 5 more than 4 times the measure of the smaller angle. What are the measures of the two angles? Well, we're not able to solve this right now. The reason why is because I have two variables. I can only solve an equation if it's all based in one variable, because in this case, if I subtract y on both sides, I have no idea what y is either. It's not really helping me, right? So I have to relate these both to each other with the same variable. Well, that's what this part's for. The measure of the larger angle is 5 more than 4 times the measure of the smaller one. What does that mean? It means that they're basing the larger angle based on the size of the smaller one. So in other words, the smaller angle, we can just name that as x, and then my larger angle is equal to 5 more. That translates to 5 plus 4 times, so 4 times the measure of the smaller one, so 4x. From here, Just a little bit of math. X plus 4x, that's 5x. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. That's going to give me 85. I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides as well. Okay, a little bit of mental math here. 5 goes into 8 one time with 3 remaining. 5 goes into 35 7 times, so 17. So in other words, our smaller angle is 17 degrees. And then our larger one, well, it's 17 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 10 is 40. So 28 plus 40 is 68. Plus 5. Okay. Now I'm going to plug it back into this equation and get the larger one. 17 times 4. Well, 7 times 4 is 28. 10 times 4 is 40. 40 plus 28, that is 68. 68 plus 5, that is 73. So the other angle here, I'm just going to call it y. Our larger angle is 73. Now you didn't even have to plug it in here. You could have just simply realized that it's complementary, which means that if this is 17, then the larger angle just has to be 90 minus 17, and you get the same answer. Okay, same thing goes on here. We have two angles that are supplementary. The measure of the larger angle is 6 less than twice the amount of the smaller one. Same thing, I'm going to have the smaller one as x, plus the measure of the larger angle is 6 less. So 6 less than the twice the amount of the smaller one, so 2x minus 6 equals 180. From here, I'm just going to combine like terms again. This is going to give me 3x. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. 3x, 186. I'm going to divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 18 is 6. 3 divided by 6 is 2. X is equal to 62 degrees. And then in this one, I'm going to do the other way. 180 minus 62. Divide or subtract. 7, 8, 1, 1. 118 degrees. Perfect. Okay, given CA and CE are opposite rays. So this thing is a ray going in that direction. This ray is this line thing here is a ray going in this direction, creating a straight line. And CH bisects angle C or GCD, and GC bisects angle BGD. Okay, name two sets of angles that form a linear pair. So a linear pair is basically a supplementary angle. So right here, what I'm noticing is angle ACH. Let me use a different color here. ACH, so it's going to be this. And angle HCD here, create a linear pair. Right? Notice how it's supplementary with each other. It's creating a straight line. The other one, let's just say GCD right here. And GCA, these also create a linear pair. Again, a linear pair is just a supplementary angles. Same thing. Okay, name two sets of angles that are vertical. Well, remember, vertical angles are angles that are looking at each other through a vertex. So instantly right here, I'm seeing this little intersection. So this angle is vertical with this angle. And then this angle is vertical with this angle. So that would be the two answers there. If GCF is equal to 3x plus 4. All right, let's plug in our values here. So GCF, so this right here is 3x plus 4. Okay, and DCF, okay, so right here is 5x minus 26. It wants us to find DCH. So DCH, well, that looks like it's just DCF, so I guess we're just trying to find DCF. So how are we going to do this? Well, that's where we have to come back up here. It looks like CH here bisects GCD. In other words, what does bisects mean? Again, we went over this last video, but if you didn't watch it, bisects basically means cut in half, right? Bi, that prefix there, means 2, right? So in other words, this angle right here must be equal to this angle right here. So I'm going to just set these equal to each other. 3x plus 4 equals 5x minus 26. And then from here, I'm going to solve. I'm going to add 26 over here just so that it's a positive number. So 3x plus 30 is equal to 5x. I'm going to subtract 3x to this side. So I get 30 is equal to 2x. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. So x is equal to 15. And then I'm just going to plug it back into either equation. The reason why is because of the same thing. So I'm going to do it in this one. 15 times 3 is 45. 45 plus 4 is 49. This is 49, which means this is 49. That would be the answer here. DCH is equal to 49 degrees. And then let's have a little trick question, or not trick question here, but let's just have a little extra question. GCD then, for example, would just be 49 plus 49, which would end up equaling 98 degrees. All right, I hope that helped. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. If you ever want a video made on a question that you have, feel free to either drop it in the comment section or go to the website mindleaptutor.com. But just go there, post your question, and I'll see you guys on the next one.